here. Okay. Yeah, so how was the surf yesterday, Cory?
It's been pretty small. Small. These are
So
the days I'm looking at Surfline and looking at Rocky Point, Hawaii, you know, the warm water climates.
Cool, man. Yeah, I surfed yesterday. It was like 1-2 foot, but it was pretty fun. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining Pro Surf Blog today for some epic surf news. Today we have none other than Cory Whitlock, local legend here in Oceanside. And if I'm sure you guys know Cory, Cory's running several businesses around town, right? You got Whitlock Surf Factory, right? We got Whitlock Inc., which is probably where you're.
Yeah, that's the screen printing business. So we do t-shirt printing for all the schools, fire department, local businesses, and other surf brands too. So
yeah, that's cool. You guys are pretty collaborative. And then of course, surf lessons. You're doing surf lessons as well.
And Whitlock Surf Experience, that's my favorite spot because we would be doing this meeting down on the beach at the harbor.
Yeah. So I mean, you're a pretty busy guy. You're running 3 businesses. Are there other businesses? Do you have a taco stand or something I don't know about?
That's funny you say that. I do have I did purchase a hot dog cart that we were looking about doing, like maybe hot dogs and shaved ice, summertime. So
yeah, right. I mean, if you roll that thing right up to your surf lessons, right?
The harbor master might not be too happy with me, but everybody else would have a hot dog and a cold beverage at that day.
Yeah, I hear you. So today, everybody, I brought Cory on. There's a bunch of things going on locally, in particular, the wave pool proposed project that's, I guess, been green-lighted several times already. And Cory, you did your civic duty and you went down to City Hall. You put on a button-up. Look at, I put on a button-up because I was inspired by you.
Thank you. It's the only one I had, though. So.
Yeah, and you went down there. They had another meeting. It was, I think the second meeting was more related to concerns, appellants, things like that. So, Cory, what did you had to get down there pretty early to get up to the front?
Yeah, we had to get up there, get there about a half hour early, Okay. And I did first time I've ever done, speak in front of a city hall.
Sure.
So it's kind of a little nerve-wracking, getting to all the eyes on you and all the people, the yayers, the mayors, and everybody in between, know. So putting your neck on the line, basically,
Right. You're sticking it out there, that's for sure. So how many people were outside or came for this meeting?
They had a lot of people for it, so that was the good news. As I would say, about 90% plus was for the project, and there was a handful of naysayers, and they expressed their concerns, traffic, water, infrastructure, stuff like that, which is important to the city of Oceanside. And as a resident and a homeowner over in that area,
right?
I'm going to be driving down that road every day, and the potholes, the services that need to be implemented downtown.
Sure.
They need to grow from the beach side that they've done downtown now. Now we got to take it a little bit inland and, bring the whole community together.
Yeah. I live a little up that way as well. So it will impact me positively and negatively. But how many people in the crowd, like how many people showed up to this meeting? Roughly?
I know I brought with me about 8 to 12 people. Okay. I brought, obviously my wife and staff, but I also brought kids that do my surf club and are part of my surf program, their parents that have been participating in it, because that's going to affect them ultimately down the road. These kids are 10, 11, 12 years old. By the time this is developed, they're going to be teenagers and, on into their later years of life. So they're going to have the most impact. And then I'd say between the union representation, the Oceanside Museum, other businesses that were there, I'd say there's they had 35 people signed up to speak for
Mhm.
it. Which on other ones I was saying, they had like 3 people.
Right. Right.
So it was, there's a lot of, so there's a good 70 people there, I'd imagine.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, I actually submitted some comments on online, which in some cases they'll read them off, but obviously there was so many people there to speak. Speaking about the union, man, the union was deep over there.
They were there. They came out they spoke in a strong
Right.
tone, so,
Yeah.
and, it's important that we support our local builders and union and contractors. My background is in carpentry and building houses too. So,
Right.
it's, you work with your hands, you want to support a family, we need good jobs.
Yeah, a lot of surfboard shapers are handymen of some sort.
Yeah, because you don't make money in surfboards.
Right. Right. That's right. And yeah, speaking of that, everybody too, I have a whole library of videos, and some of those include a tour of Whitlock Surf Factory from about 3 years ago.
We have to update you on that. We got to get an updated one then.
Right. The one that's doing really well that people dig is I did one of a hot coat, and you guys were
Okay.
Sky was doing a hot coat, and
Nice.
that one's a pretty cool little edit.
Well, we're always down to get if you want to come in, and we always say if you want to come in and get dusty with us, get sticky with us, or get itchy with us, the factory's open. So, we'll put you in each room.
Yeah, I think when I've been down there, there's been people there working with you guys, customers who actually want to get involved, which is pretty cool that you guys collaborate and engage your customers, the ones that are willing to do that. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we like to showcase the art and the craftsmanship of what it takes to build a surfboard.
That's cool. So back to the wave pool. I watched the whole thing. It was about a 3-hour meeting, right? I also have a few clip outs from that meeting on the channel as well. So if you're out there, go take a look. I did cut Cory's speech out, which was pretty cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I cut out some other pieces too. Some people that were on the other side of the table, who were not maybe for the proposal or for it in its current state. So I tried to kind of be balanced there.
Awesome.
So Cory, in the meeting, you expressed some things that you felt were a benefit. Can you repeat some of those things there that stick out for you?
Yeah, for sure. Surfing, has always been limited to a coastline. Okay. As a surfboard builder, as a surfboard business, you only have a limited 100 yards, half mile inland, 5 miles inland, and you're done. You're not surfing doesn't really go that far until you hit the East Coast, and that's 5 miles inland from there. So you have this huge middle part of America that has no concept of surfing. They've heard about it. They know what the shock is. They've probably been to Hawaii, did a surf lesson, surfed Waikiki, and that's about their experience with it.
Everybody knows Kelly Slater. I know that.
Everybody knows who Kelly Slater is,
Right.
So it's to get that sport from off the beach and into inland. And this is something that my dad has discussed and almost put a wave pool in back in the 80s, is how do you get surfing into a wave pool or body of water? Or, we have all these like lakes and stagnant stuff, like Mora, they converted that old cable park into a wave, so you got all this stuff that's already out there. If you can get surfing across the coast and into middle America, you can have a lot more people that are going to want to do it, and a lot more business for opportunists and stuff like that.
Right.
1 second, guys, I'm on a Zoom call real quick. Can you guys give me a couple of minutes? You guys want to rent some boards or something? Or Sanjay, you want to drop this? Oh, you're
Oceanside Chamber.
Oh, you're the best. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Oceanside Chamber, for making a delivery. That's awesome. So for those in the cyber world, we do run a surf shop here, and we'll be interrupted, hopefully not too much.
Yeah, well, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. So basically, expanding that audience is what you were saying there. I think everybody's dreamed of wave pools. I have since I was a kid, right?
Oh yeah. I grew up in Hawaii as a kid.
Okay.
Born and raised on the North Shore.
Okay.
And about 12 years old, my dad's surfboard factory burned down. So we ended up moving to California, and we ended up moving to a little town called Lake Elsinore. So I went from white sand beaches, school across the street from Pipeline, to dirt and hills and motorcycles. Like, what the? And then they had this big body of water that nobody went into because the lake was dirty, you know. I'm like, so we're like,
we used to call that. I grew up inland too. Well, I grew up inland, so we used to refer to that. I grew up in a cooler inland than Lake Elsinore, but Lake Elsinore we used to call Lake Smell Some More.
Oh yeah, you know. So I went from white sand to white trash. So that's how I describe my life. And then, you know, but for me, that made me want to surf more. That was the drive, because I was taken away from me. I was like, oh my gosh, now everything I want to do, I've got to commit myself. I've got to drive. I got to put the time in. And this is before Surfline. You know, you had to have buddies in Huntington, San Clemente, and Oceanside. So you'd get on the phone and you'd be calling like, hey, how are the waves? How are the waves? How are the waves? And my dad's originally from Huntington. So we'd surf a lot in Huntington. Then I had cousins in San Clemente, surfed there. And then we ended up falling in love with the harbor about 12 years old. And it was always good. Waves always consistent. Not that crowded, you know. It was it's changed now, you know. So now it doesn't break anymore. So don't go there.
yeah. No, it's pretty cool. I mean, I always surfed it as well, like just kind of passing through town back in the day, and always liked it. And here I am years later, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, 3 days after I graduated, I was like, Mom, Dad, love you, but I'm out. And I ended up down here, and had a cousin that lived in Carlsbad, and I ended up living from Oceanside, Carlsbad, Encinitas. I've always been North County, and love this area because of the surf and the community that comes with it, you know, because if you surf one spot, you're only going to meet one person, you know. I love our zone because it's from Lowers to La Jolla. So
right. I mean, so yeah, at the harbor, you're going to meet Stephen Back. But so from a business standpoint, though, I mean, you know, you're running 3 different kinds of businesses, all, you know, tied to surfing to some extent. I bought a house here about 15 years ago, and it was, you know, smaller place. It was maybe slower than I was thinking of a place that I might move to, but once I got here, I really liked it. Right. At the same time, I think I've always been kind of waiting for Oceanside to kind of evolve and develop in a variety of ways, which it actually has, right? Which brings traffic and different things as well. But basically, I think that's some of the stuff that you expressed as well, was that, you know, this particular proposal, which I'll let's see here, rattle off a couple of things. I mean, you know, it's not just a wave pool, right? It's going to be homes. It's going to be restaurants. Yeah. It's a whole like civilization, like a whole world at one place, right? And it seems like on every level, the developer has tried to tie in a real way to local businesses, San Diego County, and then Oceanside specifically, whether it be union workers. And I've heard other things about brewery taps and things like that they're trying to do as well. So it's going to bring more traffic, of course, right? Like I know they said the original proposal was supposed to be like a Costco or Home Depot, something big, right? And so they 86 that plan way back, and I guess the traffic, you know, that's supposed to anticipated from this project is actually less than what it would have been at a big box store, because people would be coming daily to those stores, right?
They were talking like 60,000 vehicles a day with the Costco, you know, and that's a lot of cars, a lot of people. Imagine on a Sunday when everybody wants to fill up their gas can and gas their car, you know, or, you know, it'd be a parking lot. And, you know, we don't need another box store here in Oceanside or anything. And with the housing, the pool's going to generate some traffic, but they're putting 700 houses back there. Right. And I think the total traffic they're talking is like 19,000 cars. Right. So, you know, 2/3 of what they were projecting. And I don't think there's gonna be 19,000 people going to a surf pool, you know, but it's going to be shopping centers, you know, homes, cool camping, outdoorsy, like rad stuff, you know, the pump track, you know, it's, it's exciting to see what they want to bring in, and as you mentioned, I met with the developer, and I met him, and the first thing that we kind of kicked off was he's a surfer at heart. So he's like community and surfs, and he was describing his first surfboard that he saw when he was 12 years old, and he goes, "Yeah, my friend came back with his board as a lightning bolt, and it had this down rail and turn." I go, "Kind of like this one right here." And I have one that my dad shaped back in Hawaii, an old original lightning bolt. And he's like, "Yeah, that's it."
John Corn, I think is his name,
John
right?
Corn, yes, sir.
Right.
I always tell a surfer when they can describe their very first surfboard, they surf.
Yeah, and I think the people, I think of kind of the kinds of traffic, right? So the kinds of traffic coming to a resort or to go surfing or to go to your house seems like a much happier, mellow type of vibe versus people going to Costco. Costco parking lot. I mean, any parking lot anywhere, right, is drama. So I think the kind of traffic, definitely, I'm a fan. I'm a proponent as well, everybody. I know there was some people that, had concerns about the traffic, about the water. Carolyn Kramer is another video I have on the channel, and she offers some good insight, opinions about at least things that maybe need to be addressed or could be addressed prior
100%.
to going.
And Carolyn's been around forever. She's, man, back when I was surfing in the junior high school contest, I checked in with Carolyn, and a couple of weeks ago, I was checking in my nephew at the Surf for the Sea, who's 6, so, that community again that we talk about, it's important that we hear all the voices of the yeses and the nos, so that way we can make a great product.
Correct. And by the way, I'm going to plug my playlist as well. There's a couple videos from that event as well, the most recent Surf for the Sea. So everybody go check it out. It's a bunch of groms in that edit. So it was good to hear from Caroline. There was a couple other people that were in the crowd. Well, I guess let me back up. The mayor kind of told everybody, "Hey, everybody, hold your applause at the end," because I think surfers were getting fired up. Is that what happened? Because I couldn't see what was happening behind the camera, the crowd, but I imagine people were getting just firing up, right? What happened?
An old school surf movie, when you go to the movie theater and somebody get a good wave, woo! Hoots and hollers, and it was the union guys too. They were in force, and they were putting in, making sure they were, heard with the claps and the yeses and the, that kind of stuff. But it was a good festive atmosphere, It wasn't like oh my God, world's ending, COVID, it was like, let's surf.
Yeah. What's funny is I know the applause or the cheering, it must have changed forms too. It was very subtle, but I was watching the webcast, right? And so actually on Zoom, and later on, I noticed the mayor again. She had to kind of ask everybody to not applaud, but this time she was specific about silent applause. So I imagine people were like, I don't know,
like, yeah,
like quietly. Right?
They were doing the hands up thing, for sure. Surfers were doing this hands up.
I wanted to see it. I wish the camera, showed it. So I felt like we weren't getting the full experience at home. So pretty cool. And then out of that craziness, two other edits I also clipped out and shared were two other people that spoke. I mean, there was a lot of good speakers on both sides of the coin, but two people that stuck out. And I made an edit. One was, I call him the wave pool heckler. And I mean, he took it a little more personal, and he was kind of talking about somebody knitting in the background. And, this guy, I mean, it was pure surf heckle. I don't know who the guy is. He says he lives in the area, but, he pulled out his phone. He had a picture of the person. And I guess the mayor wasn't appreciating that, right? So the mayor literally hit the gavel, shut the meeting down. Everybody had to take a break, right? So, what happened when that guy left the podium? I mean,
I had to leave early, so I didn't get to see that either. But I saw it I did see it on your blog, and he was like the last guy to speak for the night, I think. So he came in, and I kind of saw him walk through the audience and kind of walked around, and I'm like, this guy's here on an agenda. I don't know what side he was on, but I could tell that he had something in there to
Yeah.
to say, and that's a perfect little name for the.
Yeah, he brought some energy. I didn't have that much of a problem with his with what he was saying. I mean, obviously he got a little personal with one of the other people in the crowd there, but I mean, that's what surfing is, or that's what real public speaking events, like you said, it was your first time. There's a lot of energy going on in that atmosphere, and
I made a bunch of notes on my paper. Okay, so I had stuff I was going to say, and as soon as I set it down on the podium, I didn't see anything. Right. All those words, all those letters are gone. It's just like, so you just had to go back and just start speaking again. But it is, public speaking is not it's like one of the greatest fears of life.
Right. Yeah, you did great. There was one other lady as well she was opposed to the wave pool. But I mean, she was a legend for me, even though she was against the wave pool. And I can't remember her name, might be Diane or something. For lack of having a name, I think I titled it Wave Pool Karen or something, but her best line in her whole thing, I also saved that as you guys can go check it out, but is we don't need no phony wave. And I mean, the way she said it, I mean, it was just like, we don't need no phony wave. And
I was there for that.
Oh my gosh, it was amazing. And it's funny is that I've talked to people around town, like other locals at the harbor, and just kind of bring it up once in a while. And you do get a mixed bag of you think everybody would be 100% on board, but you do get a mixed bag of people in how they feel about this, right?
Oh yeah, well you start talking about putting jetties in. You want to get people riled up, right? We need to keep sand, but we can make our own wave pool if we put some jetties out there and angle them a certain way, and you can make waves like the Wedge and Sebastian Inlet, and you can make all sorts of natural waves with a couple of growings, and it'll save the houses and save sand, and but that's a whole nother topic.
Right. Yeah. Newport Beach. That place throws. So
I've got some of the biggest barrels at 56th Street.
Yeah, one of the I love it. Oh, dude, see river jetties. I love that. I mean, you have to be on though. I mean, when you drop in, you got to be on.
Yeah, it's no slow takeoff.
Right. So one very important fact, I guess they dropped during this meeting was that people were talking about water usage. Mm-hmm. And so, I'm sensitive. I want to be, conscious of the water usage for these things. And so basically what they were saying, they had, the top, I forgive me for the lack of name or title at the moment, but, the head honcho for water in Oceanside. And they were saying that this wave pool, which is about 3.5 acres big, they're saying, so it's pretty big size pool. They said it only is going to use the same amount of water as one hole on an 18-hole golf course.
Yep.
So, I mean, I was like, man, rip out all the golf course, put wave pools everywhere. Right? Or at least at one of the holes, right? Like 18 holes.
I'd probably want to golf if that was the case. On the 9th hole, go get a couple waves and then keep playing,
Yeah.
But I've been involved with a friend of mine does the Wave Pool magazine. He's a friend of my dad's. Mm-hmm. He was part of the Oceanside Longboard Surf Club, started the Inland Surfing Club. Mm-hmm. He's in Palm Springs. And I've been teaching and working with him for the high school out there for these kids that are, they don't have money, they don't have anything, surfboards, they've never, these kids come to the beach, they've never even seen the ocean, and teaching them how to surf, the Coachella Valley Surf Team. Right. So I've been part of that. Okay. And he hosted at his house, he had Shane from Palm Springs, he had the owner of Desert Surf over, and he had the owner of Thermal, which are the 3 parks they're putting in Palm Springs. So getting to learn and meet these guys, what they're putting in and how much water usage is going to be used, and the evaporation rate, especially you look at a place like Palm Springs, it's a desert,
hot.
But they've got 500 golf courses, and you just see them being watered all day long.
Right.
And you see maybe 3 people playing middle of the day,
Right.
Who's playing, So so you take away one of those holes, put it in a pool. Now you got something like, golf to me is, it's whatever, but I'd rather watch. I'm sitting there watching that video behind you, more stuff on what surfing's going on, and I'm a surf junkie. So anything that has to do with surfing, I'm like, yeah, and but it's youthful. It's good for the body. It's, whether the wife is sitting on the beach, enjoying the sun, it's a family time together too. So,
right. And they did say, for this is the second time or third time in a meeting for the developer, but, they did say they were going to give local surfers priority. We don't know exactly what that means, but I do appreciate that. In the past, they also mentioned a discounted rate. I mean, if we're going to be the ones dealing with the traffic and any negative impacts, I think we should also, get a shot at surfing this thing and keeping it open to everybody at whatever your income level is.
It'd be awesome to, I know these guys, I need to make money, but
right.
If you have a membership, right. I'm just speaking off my cuff, why not pay for a surf membership? I'm not going to pay for a country club, but right. Hey, right. Take the wife and kid to the pool, go catch a couple waves, go get a beer and some burgers or something,
Yeah, I got my harbor pass, I got my Sano pass, and I'll have my wave pool pass, right? I mean, yeah. if I can rock all of those. And then they talked about, it sounds like they've already been in talks with the local high school team, which is pretty cool. I mean, I think they need to grease Caroline behind the scenes. I mean, give Caroline a 6-figure job over there running events, man.
That's the thing, is the employment opportunity that's going to bring to this. And that's something that I discussed with John as being a business owner and doing the surfing in the surf school. I'm like, hey, I want to have my hat in the ring for the surf lessons, retail store, whatever, because like, for example, my surf, I train, 6 to 12 to 20 employees for the summer.
Right.
And then by August 1st, summer's over because school starts and everybody's gone. So right as I got everybody trained, I got to let everybody go. So it's, to hold on to some quality, workers, it's tough. Talking with John, he was saying that each session will require 6 surf instructors in the water at all times during the day. So if you have 8 to 10 to 12 sessions a day, that's a full-time job for somebody. They can be a surf instructor and a surf coach, and and it's there's going to be a lot of aspects to that. I'm looking at board repair. I mean, oh my gosh, how many boards are going to be damaged in these pools?
Well, and how many new boards will be ordered because people are getting different types of boards for the pools, right? So,
exactly. And so you pull in a couple boards from every surfboard builder in the neighborhood, maybe, and have some different designs. So everybody's not like, it's not just.
So I imagine you already have a giant running list of people who want to jump into the wave pool with you when it opens. So I got to get on that list high up there, just in case you're in there before I am, Cory.
Exactly. So I know like at the Palm Springs one, Shane is opening up the pool to the Coachella Valley surf team, giving them pool time. So, I think that's really important with anything that goes on here is, getting the kids involved, getting them at a young age. So they're stoked, and, you're a surfer for life. You just don't do it for a couple of days and go on to another sport. Once you become a surfer,
that's it.
It's in your blood and you're done.
Yeah. So I don't know if you had any conversation with John behind the scenes about ETAs on this thing. I mean, so, I've been driving by this lot for years, and it's still dirt. I think they raised the dirt up. It's flattened a little bit in certain sections. What's realistic with the time frame?
The last I spoke to him is about 3 years they're looking at doing, about a 3-year build out. It was interesting because that was one of my concerns was, the level of the dirt that they got to raise it up.
Right.
According to John, when the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers built the levee system around the drive-in and did all of that, they turned that over to the city. The city didn't want to take ownership of it. So they're like, even though it's built for a 250-year floodplain, they got to raise it all the way up 12 feet, which is 90-something acres. So they got to raise all that up, and every scoop of dirt, and being a Choctaw native, Native American, every scoop of dirt they are going through, they have archaeologists on site digging out bone fragments, giving it back to the Latino Indians, doing reparations. So they're doing stuff like behind the scenes that nobody's seeing, so that's taking the time and, money, all things, but, that was his biggest thing, was like, yeah, he goes, try to find dirt right now. It's hard to buy dirt. So, so bringing all that up, and, and so that's the stuff that they're going to do down there is just, it's pretty amazing if you think about it, Oceanside was the first X Games at the pier. They had a big old vert ramp right down here at the pier and held the first X Games down here. And you got the skydiving, you got the old Stubby's Pro Surf Contest and the Life's a Beach Pro. And, all those big events that we used to have are no longer here. You got the Supergirl, which is rad, but we need to bring in a little bit more excitement than just one contest a year like that.
Yeah, I agree. Supergirl Pro is actually a really cool event. Like you said, we could use more. I mean, but it's definitely one of the coolest events. The surf fans are some of the most like genuine and pumped up generations of fans that come to view that.
Oh, and they're surf fans. That's
right.
The thing. They come in with some knowledge. They're not just like, oh, what's going on here? They know that when the girls are surfing, especially when Bethany Hamilton's going in the water. Oh my gosh, I've never seen that beach get so crowded in my life.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm digging it. I'm stoked to see all the development they've done at the pier and around the area as well. I'm a proponent of that.
One of the things I did talk about with John was the wave. That's what we haven't discussed yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So he showed me a couple of these different ideas and these prototypes that are coming in. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be kind of like the Waco and the Palm Springs will have different locks and different pushes of water that'll come out. Okay. And because it is 3.5 acres, he was saying they can make it where it goes from one side of the pool all the way to the other. So like a perfect point break, left or right. 2 peaks, like when they're doing like middle of summer, if you're having a big group in the water, 2 peaks on either side where one person goes left, one person goes right, and so that'll filter in, 20 people at a time. Inside it'll have a reform with beginner lessons and, the newbies that can be doing right. And
I want to fake left and then go right and make sure nobody gets it but me,
I want to steer from one side of the pool to the other and back again.
Oh,
bounce off of before.
That would be cool. A little refraction waves.
Yeah, make a wedge, and they can make those kind of waves. So when it comes to competition, surfing is a spontaneous sport. When you have a perfect wave and a perfect like half pipe in the Olympics or in skateboarding, these maneuvers are really telegraphed, and you can tell what they're going to do at that section, amplitude of height or whatever. Right. But when it's surfing, you look at a wedge and like, what they just had the contest in Rio. Look at how like, that was just like turbulent and backwashy and ramps. And it's like, that's fun,
Right.
It's some perfect sections, chunky, but you can have air sections. You can have, a surf a wave, so barrel.
Yeah, I think that Olympic talk is real too. I think if we actually made that wave pool happen, I think that the Olympics would come here, and I think that would probably spawn a bunch of other events after more people kind of get their eyeballs at least back on Oceanside.
Totally, and especially now if you start having Arizona's building 3 wave pools, Waco, Palm Springs, man, you can have a full little surf tournament and never even touch the ocean.
Right, and you probably know more than most, but the Olympic team, or Team USA, right, trains right on the other side of the river from you, right by your surf lessons. Yeah, so I mean, there's amazing talent that, I mean, literally, the coach, I don't know if Brett's still the coach or not, but he's, they got to come from Huntington Beach down here, right? So I mean, but I mean, like the waves are that good that they're
like I said, it's consistency. I've traveled all over the world and to come home and go like, oh my God, I've just spent 4 months in France and I'm surfing waves just as good here that I waited all year for, but we can do that. We have blacks, we have swamis, we got point breaks, we got reefs, we got a good mixture in North County. But to get good, you got to wait for swells, tides, winds, the wave. You paddle out of some of these spots. Swamis on a good day, you got 250 of your best friends sitting around you, and you got to rub elbows and fight to catch that wave. And
there's always a longboarder with like an 11-foot board just taking out, you're just like, whoa.
Then you got the obstacle course of surfing with all the different, equipment out there and levels, of surfers.
So I want to share an image here, and then kind of go back to some of the people training. Let's see here.
Surfing's rad because you get to surf with Caity. You get to surf with Sky Brown. You get to surf with, Shane Dorian in the parking lot, Kelly Slater down there. It's like you pull up to the parking lot, Nathan Fletcher. I mean, so many of everybody is who pulls into that parking lot there.
Oh yeah. So Jetty, can you see this image here, Cory?
Oh yeah. So Caity got on with pipe.
Yes. I mean, I'm like blown away, right? I mean, it just seemed like the other day she was 6 or 7. And,
right?
I remember, telling her as a little grom, like, oh, you can tap any of my waves. I knew she was training and doing all her stuff. And man, out of all the people I've ever said that to, a really nice wave comes in. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to take this wave right here. Well, she took me up on the offer. I mean, she came all the way up to me, which is what she should be doing, right? Like, because I tell people to take my wave, or somebody snakes you, but they're like 15 feet away. Oh no, man, Caity, she came right up to me and then she took off, and and I was kind of like a little hurt, I was like, I told her to do that, but I was like, man. So anyways, a really awesome grom, great attitude. I mean, her skills are like through the roof, right, Cory? You probably see her down there.
Oh man, when Caity paddles out, you're like, I think I'm going to go to the other peak over here.
Yeah,
on the beach now, but
yeah, she's
what's rad is with Caity, she's got a great family backing too. So a very humble family, and for how amazing she is, you would think there'd be just like big old heads, and no, they're not. They're just they're just humble, humble surfers and surf family, which is how it should be.
And there's going to be a really kind of aggressive or innovative format for the pipe as well coming up. Which is going to be really cool to see as well. So outside of Caity, I mean, you're seeing heads come over there constantly. Who are some of the other groms that are coming up that you see over there training, on a frequent basis?
Well, Sky Brown and her brother Ocean, they're out there every day. Mm-hmm. You have Emma, you have all the John Daniels coaches all those kids that are just, I mean, they're just ripping, and they're coming, and it's cool because they're coming from Orange County, San Diego, inland and stuff. So there's a good mix. So you're getting to see the different, not just one little area, but we got a good flux of these kids. And to see that level of surfing, it pushes other kids that want to surf. There's this kid down there, Kasim, that I surf with every day at the harbor. Yeah. And he's went from like a small little grom, and now all of a sudden he's just like growing into a man, and throwing man turns, and like Timo and Kern Boehner, all these kids that are just ripping right now. And you're just like, oh my God, I'm glad I don't have to compete against them. That's all I know.
Oh yeah, no, for sure, man. I think I was watching the Surf of the Sea, and I was like, I think I'm better than like 10-year-old girls for sure, but not by much. And then after that, I don't know, right? Like everybody's better than me. You're talking about, the kids are training. So people don't realize, but there's a lot of cross training going on. So I'll be walking out to go surf, and I'll see, John running with 10 groms behind him, jetty to jetty, and, just kind of really mixing up the type of workouts that they're doing, which is really cool. And like you said, outside the groms, I mean, there's a bunch of pros that you might see, and you see that in surfing anywhere, right? Like contests or anywhere. You're right next to the pro. I mean, you unless you have floor seats at the Lakers, you're not going to get up next to the pros. You're
not sitting in the dugout at the World Series. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. You don't get to be you're not holding the football, giving it to the football players as they're coming off the sidelines. And that's what's rad about our sport. It's still, even you can surf with your pros, with your pros that are probably your bros, and also the legends of the sport that are still, like my dad's age. There's these guys that have been in it since the very beginning. Mm-hmm. They're still alive, and they're still making boards, and they're still contributing to the sport. And they haven't. And the stoke is still high at that age. That's the one thing that I'm seeing is I'm also, when I go to the harbor, unfortunately I'm getting older, not as good on my feet as I once was. But I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to go out. A guy pulls up next to me. He's 74 years old, suiting up. I'm like, what are you doing, young man? Let's go. you're like, all right, let's go. So
Yeah. Speaking of that, there was, I forget his name too. It's been a while, but there was the older guy. I think he's passed on now, but he was the bodyboarder guy. And he would always go to South Jetty over there. I can't recall his name, but I mean, he could barely walk. I mean, he was like, he was like 80 or something. He was kind of just hobble from his car to the sand. And like you said, it would be cold. The weather, the waves would be crazy. I'd be pulling in going, talking myself out of it. And then I see him suited up, just charging. I'm like, oh, I gotta go, man. Come on.
No excuse.
Yeah. So pretty cool.
My father-in-law is something and still getting in the water, so.
And like there's some pros, like sometimes when I'm out there, if I recognize a pros coming in the water or something, I'm like, oh man, like I'm not going to get any waves. I somehow surf worse than ever in front of people that rip, right? But there are some pros that I always like caught off guard of, like how nice they are, how non-aggressive they are, and they're still ripping. They're catching 4 times the amount of waves I'm catching, and yet they're not pressing me. They're letting me go on my waves. I mean, do any names come to your mind about pros or really good guys out there that have that vibe?
That's the vibe of surfing should be like that too. Like not just with the pros, but you should be out there having fun. That's what the sport's about. Whether you're good, whether you're bad, give a wave. If you're in the spot, the worst thing is that guy that paddles out on that 12-foot board and
takes everything
around and catches every set wave and falls on the drop and just ruins it. But I surf, you surf with all the pros out there. Wardo shows up all the time. He'll just sneak in and he'll just be all of a sudden ripping. Chloe Andino's out there ripping. Who else was like Evan Geiselman, and these guys were here this last summer. Shane Dorian out there paddling around catching waves. And it's, you look at him, you're like, oh, hey, what's up?
Yeah, I seen Sonny Garcia on a 1-foot day one time. It was so chill, so cool, good vibes. The Gadowskis brothers. I mean, man, those guys surf so amazing and are just like so incognito. You don't even know they're there. Right?
Dylan Graves, another one that paddles out and just rips. And now that one of the Gadowskis lives here in town,
right?
Where there's one, there's all of them. So, they're a good family pack, So, and what's rad is we've done work for Tanner, like for their Positive Warrior campaign supports. We did like t-shirt printing for them, they're like,
positive
oh,
vibes.
going to Japan, I need some shirts printed last minute. Can you do it? I'm like, if I'm going with you, sure.
Yeah, and Dane Gadowskis, I mean, he has the hugest wingspan, that dude, and that's probably why he can surf those huge waves when he wants.
When you can grab the bottom and pull yourself along, not T-Rex paddle.
Oh yeah, my little arms once I paddle for 30 minutes. So right on, Cory, man, I'm so stoked you came on the show. Everybody, definitely, give a shout out. Before I let you go, I like to do some shout outs. Is there anybody two things, successful collabs that you've done throughout time? If there's one that sticks out that you're like, man, that was a really cool collab, super successful. And then also anybody that you've worked with, it could be an employee, it could be the mailman, anybody who like you feel has been instrumental, but are definitely not at the front of your business or not necessarily a main part of it, but that you've, maybe somebody behind the scenes that you feel has been, important in your journey in business.
Well, first off, that'd be my wife.
All right. Right on to the wives out there.
Yeah. So if it wasn't for my wife, we wouldn't be here today, but I've been raised by the surf community. So from interacting with Bob Hurley as a young age to, the up and coming new businesses and new guys that are trying to get into it.
Right.
It's been a joy to be a part of everything. And surfing, it's not, I did this last couple of years, we started making a ton of boards for Lost, now we're doing a bunch of boards for Dewey Weber. So we're doing, these guys that's like, you go from the high performance surfboards to these high end gloss and polishes. But for me, it's the guys that I'm collabing with, but it's also the team that we have that builds these products, from our t-shirt printing, my staff from the t-shirt printing, to my staff at the surfboard factory, to my staff at the surf lessons, if it wasn't for all my team guys, my team ladies, we wouldn't be here today. And then to collab with, the Positive Warrior Foundation, to work with, for Buttons. I was part of Buttons' life for the last 2 weeks he was alive. I helped take care of the kids and, cook for the breakfast. And when he's going through treatment, we printed a bunch of shirts and donated them for his treatment and, stuff like that. My family, my father-in-law, he's sticky bumps. So the wax, so from the surfboards to the wax, it's just this huge family of rad talent that we've all worked hard together, so that's who. And I just love to from whether it's the local plumber to the fire department to one of the restaurants and the schools to Supergirl Pro, if I can get in and work with them and do something for them, last minute printing, whatever they need. To me, that's what
surfers last minute. Oh.
Can you believe that? So that's where I'm proud to be a collab with the city of Oceanside and the community, so that's one thing that's since we've been here, it's been 8 years now that we've been in this location.
Oh, cool.
22, I'm coming on 23 years as a retail store in North County. We opened our
Congratulations.
Thank you. And it's been a bumpy road the whole way. Sure. It's like surfing. Some days they're set, some days it's flat. Some days you're just like, whoa.
Some days the beaches are closed.
Yeah, then the beaches are closed. Oh, COVID. Thank you. That's being part of the community in the last 23 years. It's really shown that, if you're going to come into this and think you're going to be the king turd of the ship parade, pardon my French, everybody out there, but you got to realize that there's a community together and we're all in it together. Timmy Patterson said that's to us at the last boardroom. He came out after the show. My dad and I were loading up the van at the end of the day, and he walks up, and we've known Timmy since I was a kid. And he's like, hey, Timmy, congratulations on the Shaper of the Year thing, blah, blah, blah. He goes, you know what, Cory, you know what the most important thing about this show was to me? He goes, it's the first time I've had my kids and my wife and all of us at the show together in the room together with, and they're stoked and being positive. And he goes, whether you guys like it or not, we're all paddling for the same waves together. So we're all here in it together. So we got to build each other up and, take this to the next level. And so I thought that was a really rad, coming from one of the greatest shapers out there, just still just super humble and a nice guy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. That is definitely a true statement. And what's kind of like the union guys at the city council meeting, it's actually, a very made in the USA kind of industry as well. So
it is.
We're kind of working together.
It's one of those things that for this industry to survive, we're going to have to make some changes, for the financial end of it, we can't be building surfboards for pennies anymore.
Hey, everybody, I want to tell you guys, I pay my shaper full pop.
That's it.
What he wants. He might shave, I might let him shave a little bit off, but I mean, and it's hard because he doesn't even want to tell me the cost of the surfboard.
Yeah, right.
And I'm just like, well, how much, if somebody walked in the door and I try to pay him full pop, I mean, I don't even know that he necessarily needs the money. Everybody needs the money. Everybody needs the money, but I'm just saying,
Bezos, I don't know.
Right. So it's, it's like you said, it's a very weird situation within surf where everybody wants a deal. Yeah. Everybody wants to acknowledge each other. And so at the same time, it's hard to make money or be a real thriving industry like that. So I pay my shaper as close as a full pop as I can.
Gotcha.
I appreciate his time. I try to, go in there and talk about my surfboard at different stages. So I'm stoked.
And support your local shaper, local surf shop, there's 30, 50 of us here in town. So, you're helping feed those kids and their staff and their buildings, so it's important, and we don't mind giving a discount, but at the same time, it's always the guy that pulls up in the Land Rover, Rolex on, his wife's got a huge diamond rock. Hey, bro, give me a bro deal. I'm like, wait a minute, you gotta I'm driving a beat up truck.
Yeah. Give me a bro deal. So,
We got bills to pay.
yeah, that's cool, man. So thanks everybody. I'm gonna give a few run off real quick, or rattle some shout outs. Check my most recent Epic Surf News episode with Karina from Saltwater Fix, another small business, online surf business. Surf for the Sea, I already told you about that. I did also clip out some music. Surfers like to jam, right? I mean, we all love music. So I got a couple edits of some surf groms on there as well. Ghetto Zoom from Sano, I'm doing a collab on an edit, so look out for that. And I mean, that was pretty much it. I appreciate it, Cory. That was so awesome.
Thank
And
you.
it was
Please
a
check us
pleasure.
out at rocksurfexperience.com too. Book surf lessons. We're great with the kids. We do a full water course, teaching the whole gambit. We want to make surfers, if they want to go on and be competitors, we got that section too. But we just want to make surf families.
I remember, keep one more thing going. You were doing like lessons teaching people how to use the app to cut out boards and stuff. Are you still doing that, or what's?
Yeah, that's kind of taking a little back section, just because other businesses have been a little bit more important right now. But yeah,
that was cool.
With our shaping machine. We want people to get online and download the software,
right?
Build their own board, email it to me. We'll cut it and build it, and you get to go surf it.
Perfect. So thanks a lot, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks, Cory.
Thank you, guys.
I'm going to sign off. You guys have a really awesome day.
You too. We'll see you at the harbor.
You.